Is it me or where did summer go? The fourth quarter is here, the final push. And I've been hearing from all of my clients, including my own body, that we are all exhausted already and burnt out. And as I'm recording and this episode is about to release, it's only the first month of Q4. It's not even November or December, or at least when I'm recording this episode. And I'll be honest, I am burnt out in a good way because so many opportunities have been coming to me that I've had to navigate what to say no to and how to create those boundaries and ensure I'm having self-care. So how do we have this hustle and holiday harmony to prevent burnout? Don't worry, I got you. And I'm giving you an early holiday present by giving you some tips on how to have a life beyond your work. And if you are loving our Color Your Dreams podcast episodes, be sure to hit that follow and subscribe button. Go hit it right now, whatever app you're using, so that you know when the next podcast episode comes out. Also, extra credit if you feel called to leave a 5-star review so more women of color and allies can find out more about this podcast. See, the Color Your Dreams podcast is my way to give back to our community. All right, I'll stop talking and let's drop the beat. Hey, I'm Elaine Lucartas. I'm a business and career coach for women of color and allies. LA Weekly awarded me the #1 thought leader, and Apple News named me one of the top 5 business coaches. Going through an identity crisis, professionally or personally? Well, get ready to have some conscious conversations. Now grab your coffee, tea, or boba, and let's color your dreams too. Lead your legacy. A lot of business owners, including myself, Q4 is the best quarter in sales. For example, one of my clients expects to make $550K. That's $500,000 in Q4 alone. That does not include the rest of the year. And for career leaders, it's crazy end of year because you're working on finishing all of your annual goals by the end of the year. For example, I have one of my clients who's focused on hitting her sales goals. And on top of how busy it is professionally for Q4, it is also the holiday season. So that is seeing family and friends. And how do you squeeze it all in? Making sure you have time for yourself. So my intention and goal for this episode isn't just for you to have the most productive, efficient, and profitable quarter. It's actually for you to have a sustainable quarter as well. Not just so you have more time to see your friends, family, and loved ones, but also so you have me time. I joke around with my mom whenever I go visit her. And she was like, Elaine, Filipino immigrant, love her, but she's always wanting to talk to me. But there's times when I just want to be by myself in my old bedroom. She's like, Elaine, how come we're not talking a lot? I'm like, Mom, I need me time. And she's like, Elaine, don't you get plenty of me time because you don't live with me anymore? I'm like, yes, Mom, but I also need me time daily. So I've broken up this episode in 2 parts. First, it's 3 things you can do personally. So you have a sustainable quarter. And then the second part are 3 goals you can do professionally. The first tip, it's my favorite. Block off your calendar for personal time right now. And when you block it off, it's not just putting vacation or day off. I actually want you to block it off like starting maybe 6 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m. and put do not schedule in big caps. Do not schedule is a love sentence for yourself. It's actually a memo to remind you to not schedule anything. So to just have time for yourself. Mind you, here's occasions where you can cheat. I'm putting air quotes, cheat to schedule things. For example, maybe it's getting a massage by yourself, getting a mani or pedi. Maybe it's scheduling some time to go to the park, whether it is by yourself or maybe it's actually a friend you do want to see because you haven't seen them in a while. So for example, I took the Monday off and saw one of my best friends who I haven't seen in forever. She moved out 3 years ago. She lives in Austria now because she's just saving the world. She does a lot of like peace negotiation work. Love her. Miriam, shout out to you. So anyways, but do not schedule whenever you're blocking things out. And so I know the holidays come up and if you celebrate certain days, for example, if you are in the States, you celebrate Thanksgiving. For me, I have that day off and the day after off. If you celebrate Christmas, Kwanzaa, the Jewish holidays, or whatever it is for you, take those times off and put do not schedule as well. And also, if you have any personal birthdays, like for me, the most important national holiday, December 1st, that's when Elaine Lucartas, me, was born. So I have that day off. And also I have family members coming in from the UK. So first tip on your calendar. Also, I have a confession. When I was doing bullet points for this episode, I was actually doing my tips. So I was like, oh yeah, I didn't block off my calendar for the holidays, or I didn't block it off for my birthday yet. So I just want to let you know, your girl is actually doing tips from her podcast episode while she's creating bullet points for it. Okay. Second tip. I know I put tips in terms of putting do not schedule within your calendar, but don't forget your day to day. Put time for self-care in your days. I just had a coaching call with a client and we were going over her Q4 goals because whenever there's a new quarter, I always go over quarterly goals with my clients. And one of her Q4 goals was doing journaling and reflection every day. And she was vulnerable and admitted to me that she wasn't doing it every day. And she notices that her mood drops. So I was like, okay, so let's put time for it. Can we schedule this in? And she's like, yeah. And so we figured out a time. It's from 6 to 6:30. She wakes up that early. I don't. I'm still sleeping at that time. And I also understand for some people, time blocking doesn't work. So if you don't want to schedule that in, then make it an intention or goal that you're going to do it once per day, if that is the self-care time you want to do for yourself. For me, oh my gosh, I have been traveling so much in the month of October. I am very grateful. LinkedIn invited me to 2 top community events, one in Chicago, one in San Francisco. So I'll be honest, that messed up with my self-care in terms of working out, and I felt my body not be as energetic. So when I came back, which was past last week, I actually went back to doing Muay Thai, which is Thai kickboxing, and I did it 4 times last week. Oh, let me just tell you, I feel so good. I've been doing Muay Thai, Thai kickboxing since I was 16 on and off, so about 19 years. And to be vulnerable, I got into Muay Thai because I was being bullied when I was a teenager. Now, I never beat up my bully, but this was my way to deal with it. And for anyone that does martial arts, I just don't get any other high besides Muay Thai. And I will be also honest, I had this New Year's annual goal for me to do Muay Thai again. And mind you, it is 10 months into the year as I'm recording this, and I haven't gone. So I'm 10 months late to my own goal, but I went back and I just feel so good. So my question to you is, what makes you feel good every single day that you could do for yourself? Maybe you have a pet. Maybe it's making sure instead of your partner walking the dog, you are walking the dog because you need that time to yourself, and to not bring your phone. So you're fully present for yourself and for your dog and for nature and everything that's around for yourself. Okay. Third step, personally, especially with Q4 being here and the holidays being here. This is specifically to women, and it could also relate to men and non-binaries. Remember, you don't have to do every single family and holiday obligation. And I say this because I know as women, we are taught that we should be there for every single family commitment, and it could burn us out where we're not even there for ourselves. So you're like, Elaine, that's like not possible. What can I do? I'm like, you could just simply tell your family member, I won't be able to make it. I already have other plans. If they ask what other plans, I already have plans committed. You don't even have to share with them that you don't want to do anything that Saturday or that weekday, that they have something planned. And you simply just want to be home with no technology. Well, maybe watching Netflix, whatever's on at that time, or something on Disney Plus, or reading a book. You do not have to give in excuses. So don't feel obligated. You have to go to every holiday party. Like I, for example, want to give a shout out to my own partner. There's some big, amazing things. I can't wait to announce it later on, but we've been so busy this past summer where even when there's family obligations, like I can't make it, then I'll go to whatever family obligation. Or it's also allowed me to give myself permission when there is a family thing. Like I won't be able to make it. I already have plans, even if that means I am just resting for the day. Legacy leader, I know what you're thinking. Elaine, you have such good stuff here. I want more. So if you want more tips and advice for your business, career, and life, sign up for my Gifts and Gifts newsletter at elainelu.com/join. That's JOIN. And here's 3 things you'll get when you join, because I'm like Santa Claus. I love giving. Number 1, funny gifts, because who doesn't love memes and pop culture references? This newsletter is so fetch. Number 2, receive actionable gifts. That's business, career, and life tips that you can start doing today. Third, the gift of me. Not only do you get my wins, but also my failures, my reflections. My Gifts and Gifts newsletter is like an up-to-date diary. Think Zynga or Life Journal for my fellow millennials, where I share vulnerable stories, relatable mistakes, and important life tips like what to watch on Netflix, like when's the next Bridgerton season. So if you're ready for those fun gifts and actionable gifts to create a more sustainable life, then join my newsletter at elainelu.com/join. That's JOIN. All right, let's get back to the episode. All right, let's get to the second part of the podcast episode. It's a quick episode, but that's why I don't want you to be burned out during this quarter. So professionally, goal number 1 under professionally, or just goal number 4 for this podcast episode, I want you to identify a maximum of 3 goals. And I'm saying 3 because our human brain remembers things in 3. So I'll kind of give you an example. Red, yellow, green, ready, set, go. For phone numbers, they tend to be grouped in 3s. We remember things in 3, and we're not meant to do everything. Like if you look at Olympic athletes, you don't see them be a gymnast, a swimmer, and playing basketball all at the same time. Or let's look at Michael Jordan. Highly recommend watching The Last Dance. So he went off to baseball, if you remember, and then there were strikes that was happening in the league that he was in. So eventually he went to back to basketball, but that season, because his body was trained as a baseball player, he did not win the championship that year. So identify a maximum of 3 goals. Maybe you have revenue goals, number of clients, you need to implement a new system, put that as a goal. And here's a trick that people find it really difficult when I tell them, specifically my clients, is one of them has to be a personal goal. And I actually go more in depth about goal setting in episode 5, which is time and energy management to get your life back. So check that out after this episode if you really are curious about this one. So for me, as a business owner, I have a certain financial goal by the end of the quarter. Second is finishing up my certification or majority with International Coaching Federation. And then my personal goal, like I was sharing with you, it took me 10 months later to finally hit one of my New Year's resolutions, which is doing Muay Thai, but working out or moving 3 to 5 times a week. So I want you, if you're just like, okay, Elaine, I want to figure out my 3 goals. Hey, I am not going to be offended. Hit pause on the episode right now and journal and make this fun. Like play some music in the background. So I have a playlist. You've probably heard of this playlist before if you've been listening to my podcast episode. It's called Mr. Bear's Budget Bangers on Spotify. And it's all like the 1990s hip hop and rap. So I tend to listen to this music while I'm going through my budget or reflecting. It just gets me into the mood. Like as if I was clubbing, but I'm not. Instead, I'm doing work. But whatever is going to work for you. It's kind of like Soul Cycle, like Soul Cycle is essentially clubbing, but working out, or Peloton. Okay, I digress. Let's reel me back in. The 5th goal, or the second goal professionally, is check in weekly on these goals. Like keep track of them. And I want you to ask this reflective question. What is working well with this goal for you to get this goal, and what is not? So for example, maybe you realize, you know what? I have a goal to create content and I just do not feel inspired on a Friday because I'm so burnt out on a Friday. I need to do it on a Monday. That's great. Like adjust and change. Just because you have an intention to do something doesn't mean you have to commit to the whole thing. See what you could adjust so that the goal does get hit. And if you are figuring out how to track your goals, I'm not going to be here and tell you, you need to track it this way, exactly how I do it. Every human is different. What I will tell you what I do is it's really simple. I have a notes app. It's a private notes app. So I have to put like a security code in it, but I have a notes app. I call it Generational Wealth Millionaire Goal. So it's a notes app. It has like my goals for the year. I put 3, one for the quarter. And then for each goal, I have like a check mark of what things I need to be doing for the week. And then I reflect on it. So I have that. On top of that, this past quarter has been crazy. So what I have used before and I'm using right now is something called the Panda Planner. What I want you to hear is that this is what works for me. So I'm not saying you have to copy and paste it. Do what works for you. Try it out. And the 6th tip, the final tip for this episode is be honest with yourself. Do you need further help, support, or accountability? So if you work full time at a job and you realize this actually happened with one of my clients, she is doing a job of 3 people. And so what she has done is talking to one of the senior leaders, advocating this is unsustainable. I'm working 12-hour days. We need to hire someone. So they are in the process of looking for someone so that she could hit her goals for the quarter. And she's also mindful, letting her boss and supervisors know, I'm not going to be able to hit this goal because I am doing 3 jobs at once. So if I'm not going to be able to hit this goal, this has to be for Q1 for next year. And for me to hit this goal, I will need some support. And if you're a business owner, maybe you realize you need to hire someone. So I'm so proud of one of my clients who identified that she's finally going to hire an admin assistant just to help with all the paperwork, client intake, so that she could focus on the sales and getting more clients. Or maybe you need to hire a coach or an expert. So for example, for me personally, my business is growing and I'm so happy. And I want to be better at my numbers, specifically my cash flow management, because not only do I have professional financial goals, but I also have personal financial goals. I already have a great financial team. Shout out to Evolved Finance. They are my tax accountant as well as my bookkeeper, and they work with coaches and consultants. A little tip, if you're looking for a tax accountant or a bookkeeper, make sure you hire someone that understands your industry. So I would not recommend Evolve Finance to other industries unless you do coaching and consulting work. And I also have a great financial advisor. Shout out to Urban Wealth Management. They are a Black-owned, women of color-owned business in LA. And thank you, Karen Clark, my friend, for introducing me. So I already have a great financial team, but I want to understand more for cash flow management. So I decided to invest in myself personally and professionally, working with Amber Duggar with her Profit for Joy course and working with her coaches. So that's what I'm doing because, like I said earlier, one of my goals is to hit something financially. I have a financial goal. And if you need help, you need a career coach or a business coach for you to not only hit your goals in your professional career, but also to have a sustainable life, well, call me. You could schedule a complimentary 30-minute call to see if it's a good fit to work together and get 3 action items by going to elainelou.com/call. That's ELAINELOU.com/call. So we went through everything. Let me quickly go through my notes. So first, block off your calendar for personal time now by putting in your calendar, do not schedule. That is a beautiful love sentence for yourself. 2, put time for self-care in your days. For me, that's movement and working out. Maybe for you, it's walking your dog. It's journaling and reflecting. 3rd, specifically to women, it could also relate to men and non-binaries. Remember, you don't have to do every single family and holiday obligation for this quarter. 4, identify a maximum of 3 goals. And the trick that you won't like, one of them has to be personal, because when a client becomes a client of mine, your life is not going to revolve in your career. I am here for helping my clients creating a sustainable life where you're creating memories. 5th tip is check in weekly on those goals for yourself. So whether you want to open up a notes on your iPhone, like what I do, or get a planner, whatever is going to work for you. And then 6, be honest. Do you need further help and support? So if you need a business and career coach, you could go ahead and schedule a call at elainelu.com/call. So what is one takeaway and question that I want you to have from this podcast episode? I know I didn't put it as a tip. Maybe this is like a bonus tip number 7. I want you to ask yourself the hard question and journal, what isn't working well in my life? And what I mean by that question is not just professionally, but also personally. What isn't working well? Maybe you realize you're not sleeping as much. Maybe you're realizing you're doing the most. What is it? And when you identify and you're honest with yourself, then that will actually help you get more clarity of what goals you want. So remember, you don't need to hustle. Let's prevent the burnout. This is your life to lead, and you get to define that. Did you love my early holiday present or what? I know you are welcome. So if you feel called to give me a little holiday present because of how amazing this episode is, here are 4 things you can do if you feel called to do them. First, sharing is caring. So share this with a friend. Send them a personal message on how this podcast episode can help them with the craziness of the holidays and work. Second, don't forget to hit that follow and subscribe button so you get alerted when a new episode comes out. And third, I would be so grateful if you could leave a 5-star rating and review for the Color Your Dreams podcast. See, this is my way to give back to the community, and I want to make sure more women of color and allies receive this free resource on how to create a sustainable life. And fourth, if you would like to see how it's like to work with me to create a sustainable life where your life is not defined by your work and productivity, but in giving time for yourself, creating memories beyond the holidays, we'll schedule a legacy business and career review call at elainelu.com/call.